Well, businesses have been opening up, and it's Small Business Week, and businesses big and small have been spiritfully, engaging with each other on the front lines where your hosts and hostesses and waiters and waitresses and retail workers and what have you are interacting, sometimes more aggressively than you would like. Joining us on 710 KURV to break down some of the reasons for this and if there's anything we can do to help the situation is Sarah Buxbaum, customer service expert, our guest on your 956 drive home. I can understand, hey, we're getting out of the pandemic. Workers are getting used to the idea of working again. And at the same time, people that are constantly being hammered with, hey, support small business and hey, support, your local eateries and things like that are wanting an equal amount of services for their hard-earned dollars. So where's the balance at play?
I think a lot of it is people need to be a little bit more understanding that they can't just go in and start barking orders at these waitresses and the people at the drive-through window because they showed up to work and they don't want to get yelled at, and they're going to stop showing up to work if they keep getting yelled at. So that's kind of where I think the problem is right now.
What are some of the main reasons that this is happening? Is it because of inflation? Is it because of supply chain shortages? And if so, why are the employees the first person to take that burden, that bludgeoning from customers if there's a shortage that an employee has nothing to do with?
I think a lot of it is everyone was locked up for, 2 years or 2.5 years or wherever you live, depends how long you were locked up, I guess. But there's not a lot of people don't really know how to interact anymore with respect. Uh-huh. And I think everyone feels very stressed about inflation. The cost of everything is, quadruple what we're used to paying. So you're already stressed. And then you probably had to wait a long time for either your table or your food, whether you're at a drive-thru or a restaurant. And people are very impatient these days, unfortunately. And I keep telling people, if you are in such a hurry, don't go out to eat right now. If you don't want to tip, don't go out to eat right now. These people are trying to make a living.
This is very true. Customer service expert Sarah Buxbaum, celebratewithsarah.com. She's a hospitality expert. So how can we be more hospitable to, we'll start off with employees, the employee side of things first. How do we be more hospitable to employees, especially if you're a manager? How do you accommodate this?
I think there has to be. I was a food and beverage manager for a long time, and now I'm in hospitality. I have my own hospitality company, and I think every team, no matter what industry you're in, the managers need to treat their employees with gratitude, and they should be, training them on how to handle these tough situations. And the employees need to be a little bit more empathetic too, and a little bit more gracious. We're all struggling right now, with all the tension. So I think the managers need to kind of be on an even playing field and treat train their employees how to do this. And then I think the employees need to have an open relationship with their managers and ask for help. And businesses need to hire people who have that qualification of being a people person. I think people are trying to just fill bodies right now and they're not meant for customer service, which is fine, but they're hiring the wrong people.
No, that's a very good point that you're making. A lot of people are coming out of the woodwork and they're starting to pick up jobs again, and it's kind of like, hey, I just need the money right now with all these crazy things that are happening. But how important is it for managers to have their employees back? Like in a situation, you get a Karen, right? And it's like the manager comes out, says, yes, you're absolutely right as a customer. Hey, you're absolutely right. We're going to make this better for you, and then turn around and tell the employee, hey, that person was a total jerk. I am so sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, I think that's it's hard. It's a really interesting topic for me to even be thinking about or talking about. I was trained to the customer is always right. No matter what, the customer is always right. Nowadays, I don't think the customer is always right. And I think customers need to stop harassing these people. And I think we can all agree that that's unacceptable behavior. So I think getting the right people into management and the right people who are on the front line, whether it's in a restaurant or, like I said, the drive-through window. That's, I think, the first thing. A lot of these people are not qualified to be directly interacting with people and representing someone else's company. And there's so many people who have those qualifications. So I think the desperation to hire right now is creating half the problem because they're just not qualified to be talking to people, like, which is fine. But I think we need to recognize people's strong suits and things that, you're probably losing more money by just having that person who's there who's not really qualified.
Sarah Buxbaum is a customer service expert who runs a hospitality company, Celebrate with Sarah. She's our guest on your 956 Drive Home. You have a question, Davey?
I do. How often have you seen, or how appropriate would it be if you have a customer who's really out of line, for the manager to say, please leave?
I think that's completely acceptable. I think that these business owners should not have to be walked all over. That's one of the hardest industries. I mean, being a business owner is hard anyway, and restaurant, it's a very, very hard industry. And I think they should be able to refuse service who come in demanding, things and just being rude to everybody who had nothing to do with their original problem. And I fully support businesses asking someone to leave who's causing a scene and disrupting.
I've never seen this, but I have to think, have you ever been in a restaurant or bar where the customer just starts yelling, berating, maybe even cursing at the waiter or waitress or whatever you want to call them? It's making, and not because they're drunk, which would be one reason to throw them out. But have you ever seen that?
Sadly, I've seen it all the time because I was the food and beverage manager for the Sheraton.
Wow.
So I managed 5 restaurants. So I got yelled at every day for, the French fries being the wrong temperature. I even to this day, I see it, people mad because it was supposed to be sweet tea and they got unsweet. Okay, just kindly ask for the unsweet. You don't need to scream at the poor lady who's trying to give you a good experience. And so I see it all the time. I travel all the time, so I'm always going out to eat, and it blows my mind the way people treat other people now, more than ever. I've never seen this. I saw it coming out a lot. I mean, there's always been bad customers, let's be honest here, but I've seen it more now because people are comfortable yelling at strangers for no good reason, whether it's over the food, I just thought I was on a flight. Somebody, they lifted the mask mandate, right? But people can still wear it. I saw a guy on a plane refuse to sit next to someone because they chose to wear a mask, and they caused a scene, and the plane was sitting on the ground. I'm like, we're trying to take off. Like, just sit down. I don't get it.
Wow.
I don't get this entitlement that's happening right now.
As far as us being customers and having patience with the workers when, say, we go to a restaurant and the order's wrong, how much patience should we have? I'm trying to see both sides of things, and like, for example, if I order like a triple hamburger at a restaurant, and I get a double patty instead of a triple patty, I'm always afraid to take my food back and ask, hey, can you all help me out fix this, because I always suspect that they're going to spit in my food or something like that.
I fully support people being kind and telling people, because the other thing is we're paying a lot of money right now for food, and you're tipping. The servers are trying to hopefully give good service, get that 20% tip, so you should get what you paid for. And I send food back, and I'm not mean about it. I just say, hey, I wanted this, but I got this. And they say, and if you're nice to them, they're going to be nice to you. If you throw it in their face and say, I paid for this, then of course, yeah, I mean, I hope they don't spit in your food, but nowadays everyone's patience is so thin.
Have you ever spit in anybody's food?
I have never. And I can't even imagine being pushed to that point. I've been yelled at for some pretty crazy things, but no, I would never touch someone's food.
You don't know how paranoid I am. Even if I just order it improperly, I just feel like they're going to mess with my food or something. I'm just one of those paranoid people. But I'm glad to hear that if you ask with kindness, you'll be met with kindness. And that's a little bit of hope to have in a weary world. Sarah Buxbaum, thanks for your time here. Customer service expert, celebratewithsarah.com. That's our guest on News Talk 710 KURV. This is the 956 Drive Home.